Good evening. Welcome to Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. Here at Expat Insights, we take external views of internal successes by foreigners, expats, and immigrants. And many a times we break that rule and we invite people who are doing things differently. So it doesn't matter where they come from. Today, I have some very special guests. They're very young. They are mavericks in their own business. One of them is a professor, a trainer, a speaker, a business person, and his name is Dr. Donald Lim. He is the director of MRM Worldwide, which is a company that is under McCann Erickson. So Donald Lim, welcome to Expat Insights.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
And my second guest tonight is a gentleman called Anton Diaz. Anton Diaz's background used to be not with Unilever, but with Procter & Gamble, and he has been in the blogging industry or in the blogging sphere since 2005, and he is the founder of a portal called ourawesomeplanet.com, and he gets 15,000 hits a day. That means people go up and check what Anton is doing every single day. 15,000 people every single day. So welcome to Expat Insights, Anton Diaz.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited with Donald.
All right, so today we are going to talk about branding and marketing, given that these people are experts in this business. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we go into the subject matter. Maybe, Anton, you can start about you.
Yeah, I was with Procter & Gamble for about 12 plus years, straight out of college. And that's actually where I learned a lot of my marketing skills, internet marketing. That's when I started the blog also as well, Our Awesome Planet. And in 2008, I decided to take Our Awesome Planet to a different level and focus on it. And I've been doing Our Awesome Planet until now.
When you created Awesome Planet, it was for P&G or was it for yourself?
It's really for myself. At the time in 2005, I was like the head of IT for P&G. We're looking at trends in Manila. And when I was looking at it, one of the things that we immediately concluded that blogging will be big in the Philippines.
2005, yeah.
Yeah, for me to understand it, I had to start a blog just to understand, how it works, and and I started a personal blog when my first son Aidan was born in 2005.
Right.
So started writing about our food and travel adventures, so that when my son, who is now 6 years going 7, when he can read the blog, at least he will know what happened when he was born.
It was like a diary for yourself,
And until now, it's a diary for my 3 boys. So that when they grow up, they'll read, oh, okay, we've been here, we've eaten here, etc.
So, any specific reason that why you stayed in food and restaurants and stuff? Why did you not choose any other subject matter? Why not fashion or business or people?
Was not really a choice. No, when I started Our Awesome Planet, actually, in fact, since I was in IT, my early years, all my blog posts are IT, and on the side, I would write about food and travel. So, just to break the IT blog post, I would say, we went to this restaurant, went to this place. Now, at the time, we really love to go to places for the first time. So if there's a new restaurant that during that time when Antonio's in Tagaytay opened, we were there during the first. We were there during the first few weeks. Weeks when Sonia's opened, we were there. So we would write about all these restaurants. I didn't know that a lot of people are interested with it. Then a lot of people are trying out things or looking for new places too. So that's when that's how it evolved, and then I focused on it because it's also it's actually better for me to write about what you eat, where you go.
It's easier actually because it's
easier.
It's acceptable by everyone.
Yeah, acceptable.
Donald, give us a little background. Dr. Donald, Dr. Lim, give us a little background about how you have moved into being who you are and doing what you do today.
Okay. First of all, I'm only a doctor if I'm in school. Because in the professional
PhD,
in the professional world, they don't care actually.
I love calling it doctor. It's nice.
I started my career with Burger King. I used to be in the food business.
Right.
For 3.5 years. Then I was piloted to to the Inquirer. I handled their marketing for 4 years. And then that time, I was running the Inquirer already, doing all of their marketing responsibilities. Then there was an opening for a CEO post. And then that time, I still don't know what that company is.
Which
And
one was
then,
this?
which was Yehe Corporation. So when I
Yehe
was
started right after Yahoo.
yes, Yehe was created in 1997 to spoof Yahoo.
Yeah, I know,
Right?
yeah.
But when they asked me to run Yehe, initially I had no tech experience. I'm totally a non-techie. So when the board was interviewing me, I only said, when they asked what's your internet experience, I only said Friendster.
Yeah.
And I really don't know anything. But I was coming from a very strong marketing background, and they said, the company is full of IT people. They need someone to really push the marketing efforts to sell the ad space and everything. So that's why they got me, and that was the start of my digital journey.
Experience, yeah.
And if you look at it, even before early on, it was really a struggle for me. Do I leave Inquirer, which was, I had a very good position. People
It's
come to me.
created you,
And it's a very powerful position because you're in media, right? But I said, digital is the way to go. And I have to learn and understand that. Even if I don't have any experience, I'm going to jump right in.
Yeah.
And I said, if I'm going to make one mistake, I think I can still afford one more
Correct.
mistake, right?
Correct.
So I jumped in, tried learning the ropes, even up to today. Only a year ago, after running Yehe for 4.5 years, I was now invited to join Macan. So now I'm heading MRM, which is the digital unit of Macan Erickson.
So, looks like both of you jumped into the digital world. Yeah, you didn't plan your life saying one day I'm going to be into the digital world. And so did many successful people in the digital world, right? So is that the way to go for people who haven't yet jumped into the digital world? Because there are viewers out there, especially people with gray hair like me and with last names as funny as mine. They still need to jump into the digital world. So is that the way to enter into the world of cyber technology and marketing?
A lot of people always ask me, can you help me with digital? Can you help me with marketing on Facebook or whatever? Yeah. And I would always ask them, are you there? Because if you're not there, even if you get outside help, you have to immerse yourself and understand.
Right.
So if you're not there, we would always be seeking advice. But if you look at the internet, it's very personal. How you use your Yahoo, how you use your Facebook fan page, or if you're still on Multiplier or Friendster, it is about you, and you have to be there to appreciate it. Wow. And then that's when you start looking at ideas. How do you market yourself? How do you market your products, your brand? But you have to be there. It's very hard to be asking because they're not there. It's you plus your whatever your passion is, whether it's cooking, drawing, or whatever product you are selling, using digital, as the platform.
What's your opinion, Anton, about that?
Well, at the time that when we, what you call, jump into it, we were really at the stage in the Philippines where it was changing to digital. 2005.
So, yeah. Maybe earlier than that. Yeah.
Even earlier than that. Yeah. We actually met in Procter & Gamble with Yehe when they won the account at the time. So we, were part of the, that shift. Yeah. But now it's really an everyday thing. Like Facebook, a lot of people are in Facebook. A lot of stuff are in, the different online sites. So some people still probably decided, it's not for them.
It's not their game, yeah.
It's not their game.
Cup of tea, yeah.
I mean, that's fine. But especially there are niches na, if you're targeting an older generation, you probably don't have to be. But if you wanted to talk to really younger people, the Y generation, then, there is really no option for you.
So, Ibig sabihin, it's up to us really how we enter it and how we thrive on the internet, in the internet world, right?
Yeah.
Is that the conclusion, basically?
If you look at other media, TV, radio, print, you have to have a broadcast station. I mean, the internet is personal. You have a computer, you go online.
Okay, on that note, let's take a break and we'll come back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Donald Lim and Anton Diaz. We are talking about branding and marketing, and we'll come back after the break and ask them some more questions that will help you change your world in branding and marketing. Stay with us. This is Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju. Welcome back to Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan, and we are talking to Donald Lim and Anton Diaz. We are talking about branding and marketing. So So sometimes in this show, as I was explaining to Anton and Donald, that I am the expat. Sometimes there are no expats. Coming back to the fact that people can jump into it and it's very personal, I had a guest here called Brad Geiser. Brad Geiser, you must know him. And he said to me, he said, Raju, out there in cyberspace, social marketing or just the world of network is a community by itself. It's an alive thing. That means you create what you want, you become an image, you become a persona. Yeah. So tell us a bit on that, from that perspective. Tell us a bit about branding in the cyber world, Donald. How is it? What is branding in the year 2001?
Well, first of all, to understand the very fundamental of branding, branding right now has shifted towards the audience, towards the consumer. Therefore, branding versus the olden days where it is all about the company trying to position the brand and communicating it. Now it is all about what is the perception of the people towards a particular product or a person. So therefore, it is all about how you create that perception towards others.
Right.
So that has always been the challenge and has always been the misunderstanding. Given now what we call Web 2.0, user-generated content, in that world, it is now the audience dictating. Right? And sometimes to a point that some brands who do not know how to navigate still impose their will to the people, and yet sometimes they get misunderstood. So, for example, there are a lot of classic cases, like, for example, Nestle, they created a fan page, Nestle, instead of KitKat, they put Killer there. And what happened there was they were actually very angry with Nestle, and Nestle actually responded, said, we're going to sue you, this is infringement. But the entire community got more, they got more angry. So they went back at them and said, this is the community. This is not you anymore. Right?
Correct.
So all the more, I think brands who are going online has to be more careful when they communicate to people. For example, creating your own fan page online, you have to be ready to be, people will put negative comments there. If you're a bank,
so it's an interactive.
It's highly interactive. So if you're a bank, people say very long lines here, very pissed with this branch. So how would you respond?
Wow,
right?
wow.
So these are now the challenges that most of the brands are, initially they thought, let's create a page, let's communicate. That's the easy part. But once it's up there, you get 10, 20, 50, 100,000 fans, that's totally different.
So ibig sabihin, buhay yan brand na yun.
Yeah, and
buhay, it's alive from both
sides. It's alive and highly engaged, highly interactive.
It's not like before. On that note, I actually remember a case of Coke.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s or 90s when they went from the old Coke to the new Coke. So they pushed the new Coke on the consumer, and the consumer market, the whole world rejected it, saying, ayaw namin yan. But the story goes that in testing of the two flavors, most of the consumers liked the new taste. But when they changed the brand, they said, no, we want the old one.
That's right.
So that's a true case.
Yes, that's a true case. And what is different, if it is going to be done now, is that in less than a week, you would have everyone up in arms. You would have a very strong clamor online, when traditionally it has to be people who have to talk about it, and then the press would have to get hold of it before the word gets out, and you have that mass appeal or mass revolution. But now that mass revolution, where it would take them weeks and months, could happen in just 1 or 2 days.
So, going to personal branding, so would that mean that the image I create of myself, if I wear a jacket like this and I wear a collar like that, is also created by how my audience responds to how I look? So that means it's a two-way street for me to create and become who I am in the marketplace?
I think from my end, it's all about consistency. Because when you go out, when you speak, how you position yourself, people start getting a perception of you. Right? It's different if, like, for example, a mayor like Lito Atienza would always been flowery Hawaiian shirts, right? And you get the perception, okay, this is a jolly fellow, right? A very lively, jolly fellow, right? And then you have like me, who's more boring, right? And all black, and that's it, right? No story, walang kwento, just black.
No, so you're saying that if your market, if your consumers, if your audience tells you, hey Donald, don't wear the bracelet, shift the watch and the bracelet. So would you make that adjustment in your persona, in your brand, to adjust, or would you not?
I think it's always a give and take. Right? Sometimes I said this is my brand, but unless everyone for some weird reason would clamor that, we hate your glasses, we hate what you're wearing, I might. Right?
I might adjust.
Yeah, you might have to adjust.
All right. So you'll do a whole study, a 360-degree study.
Yes, but but usually,
how did Awesome Planet take shape, given that concept of it's a two-way street in building a brand, Anton?
Yeah, for me, branding, when I talk to a lot of online entrepreneurs, branding is really your definition of what makes you globally unique. Okay, especially for online. If you're able to define, for example, what makes you unique versus the millions of sites out there, that's the best, branding position. So for me, our Awesome Planet, I define it as food and travel secrets.
Food and travel secrets.
That even locals don't know about.
Okay, so you add that tagline, that even locals know.
Well, I didn't add that tagline, but that was the spirit. Food and travel secrets in the Philippines, shared through word of mouth. So, if you're able to define it clearly, because I'm in Manila, I've been traveling around, I'm in the Philippines, I'm the only site in the internet that could be that could provide that information. It becomes harder if you actually have let's say a competition, a related brand, a related brand, a related site. Then you have to manage the perception. Perception online on how are you different from them, etc.
So it's adjustment and a certain amount of uniqueness at the same time. So adjustment. Okay, now one question, I don't know if you want to answer this to me, is I looked up branding and marketing, and there was a site that mentioned that through social marketing, through being present, building your reputation in cyberspace, you also self-actualize. That means you achieve fulfillment. Does that hold true from where you come from your experience? Donald?
I think...
Dr. Donald.
No. I think self-actualization, when you reach that stage, is always giving back. Right? Regardless of whatever way or form. Right? I think very much in Anton's case, I'm a fan of our Awesome Planet. Only because there are millions of bloggers out there. Right? How do you emerge as the number one? And once you become very sincere in what you write, you put yourself, you lay yourself down on the line, and it's all about telling people, I've been here. I write about this because this is my experience, and people see through that. Right? And the self-actualization process is that you become you, because in the end, it's all about you giving back. And like from my end, I teach, I do a lot of things like, it's not about corporate, it's not about business in the end. Correct. You move up to the level where you start doing things that you really want to do.
Correct.
Right? It's not in Mondays to Fridays you have to engage in marketing battles, corporate battles, but in the end, that's why I said in the end, hopefully 10 years from now I get to self-actualize, to write my own thing, right? Because now you don't have time, right?
Anton, your take on this?
No, what I love about
understand what he's saying, but
what I love about the internet is that it's like everybody's going to a self-actualization phase.
Correct.
For example, I'm on my journey.
Right.
And then I can help another person. Maybe I'm in this level, they're in this level. I'm moving up to another level, and I'm helping them to move, together to that self-actualization phase. And as you know, the fun is in the process, not really in achieving. You self-actualize, and the internet is really fun because you get to connect to a lot of people who share the same interests, and you get to help them as well. Because once you help them, you help yourself also too.
Bravo for you. Bravo for the things you do. Bravo for the people you help. Now let's take this to an application level, this discussion and understanding of branding and marketing, and of course the fact that it's so fulfilling. No? Now how, I actually have an audience today, by the way, and I have a question from the audience, but I'll hold this. Let me ask you a question. What do small businesses do with this knowledge and concept? Say a shoemaker, or say a person who runs a little school somewhere in Marikina. How can they tap into this knowledge and energy and make the most of it? What are your suggestions? What are your 3 best suggestions for them? Step 1, step 2, step 3. What would they do? Think of a school out in Marikina, and they have 100 students, and they want they're a good school. They probably have a good content and a good discipline, a good system. But how do they expand and share and grow at the same time? What is your recommendation, Anton, to them?
For me, one, so it's simple. 3 steps. First, is you have to digitally manifest yourself. You have to figure out how do you want to be manifested online?
Okay.
Could be a blog, could be a Facebook, could be Twitter, or whatever. You need, you need to have a virtual representation of yourself.
Correct. Okay.
You choose whatever you want it to be. The second is the internet. You really have to look at the internet as one big social network.
Correct.
And it's just a medium to share the story.
Right. Yeah.
So, what's the story of what you want to do? You know, what's the story of your shoemaking business?
Or your
what's the
school.
story behind that? Or the school, or,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So, you have to craft that story and put it out there in that big social network. And then, because once you put it out there, it attracts the right people who are attracted with that story.
Right.
And the third step is you just have to interact with them and then help them also in that process.
Step one, manifest yourself digitally. So it's either Facebook or any other social
Twitter,
website,
blog.
or even Twitter. How about the basic web page? Is that considered manifestation digitally?
Yeah, also.
If
yes.
it's interactive, or if it's just a static one?
Well,
does
it needs to
really-
be interactive.
It needs to be interactive.
Yeah.
So any one of those four things they can do, and post that they put their cuento.
Yeah.
That means what they want to put out into the world. That's their cuento, or what their past is, what their history is. And the most generic form, is there any format to that? Or it can just be, here's our story. Here's the story of para lang elementarya sa Marikina. Is that a story?
There's actually, what they teach, there are actually 3 stories that you need to tell online. Okay. The first is what they call the origin story, how it came about.
Okay.
So, you know, so that for people to understand where you're coming from, you know, you have to always assume, you know, a person from Germany would be reading it.
Correct.
So you have to, you know, introduce yourself,
Okay,
what's the story of that place,
okay.
etc. The second is what I call the legend story.
Legend.
Legend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
legend. For example, di ba, a legend is something, you know, a story that you can tell anybody forever, 10, 20 years, you know, you can tell, you know, this
Zorro.
guy was helping this, you know,
Yeah.
it's always a story about...
Efren, the guy with the push cart.
Yeah, you know, you won't get tired telling the story.
Correct,
And it's always about, you know, you have this idea, you help this person, you know, you help that person. You know, how are you able to help the world? So you have to know what's your legend story. Or, you know, if you're out of this world, you know, your kids, what will they tell their...
How will
you
they
know,
continue the legend?
Yeah,
How will
to
they
continue the
nourish-
legend.
yeah.
So you need to nail down the legend story. And the last one is really a social proof story, or, you know,
Okay.
not you telling the story, but what other people are...
The response, the measure of your success.
Yeah,
basically.
you know, what other people are telling.
Great. Anton, hold that thought. Donald, I want your take on this, and I want us to address this to Corey and Stu. Corey and Stu are watchers of this show, and they build schools in the poorest of the poor. I mean, they go to undernourished communities, they build churches and schools, and they've been doing this for the longest time, and this little show is on special request for them. So Corey is 50-something, Filipino, and Stu is Dutch-American, and he's been in this country for the last 30 years. So keeping them in mind, they are church people, they are missionaries, and they build schools and churches. So maybe, would you like to give your tips, Donald, directly to Stu and Corey, saying what to be done?
Okay. I think any advocacy, like in marketing, in the end, you really need funders, supporters, sponsors. So for your advocacy to grow.
Yeah.
And like I'm going to be a bit academic in my approach, you know, but I'm not going to veer far from what Anton is saying. You have to have a very strong positioning. How are you when you go out and ask for support? How do you differentiate yourself against other advocacies and NGOs? Because every major corporation has been, you know, would have experience being asked money or support already. That's one. So how would you position yourself? And I think that is why it is very important for that story to be created, because in those stories, that is how you sell yourself, right? That is number one. And then secondly, once you have a very strong position and perception, now it's all about how you communicate yourself. So, for example, there again, after battling out with that positioning with other NGOs and advocacies, when you're out there, you are on Facebook, you create a website. How do you get yourself found? Right? So even if you have a TV show, you expose them, people would now like to know more about them. And they do not have the benefit of, you know, having direct contact with them. So the website or the page, the social page, becomes the most important platform. And once you have that up, it is all about the engagement. How do you talk to them? How do you gather all of them and then use it properly?
So there is a certain amount of selling your business case. There's a certain amount of saying, here I am, we are doing this, please take interest in what we are doing. So it's a certain amount of a push there from your perspective.
Only, for example, like when you said Efren Peña Florida, even when he became CNN Hero of the Year, he can only go so far. After that, I think when he won, it was commercializing it already. When he was able to make a big building, right? It was all about all the support coming in. But if he did not win, he would just have been a pushcart school. You know,
or there were other CNN heroes before who didn't do anything out of it, so they didn't grow. Like, I think, what's her name? Chin Chin. Chin Chin was not the CNN hero, but she was Asia's hero, Asian hero, something like that. Okay, so that's small businesses. No, that's for small businesses, and we'll also keep addressing Stu and Corey who are watching this show for sure. I'm very sure about that. Let's take this discussion of branding and marketing in the year 2001 to big companies. Companies like Procter & Gamble, companies like IBM, companies like Coca-Cola, sometimes who you work for. No? How much can they exploit this knowledge? How can they do it? What is your take on that? What are they doing?
Right now, because in marketing, there was never a time when communication with the target market is two-way. When you talk about TV, radio,
back in the 60s and 70s,
it was always one way. We broadcast. Right? When the internet came around, it now allowed people to respond
back. It became
back.
a conversation.
Yes, and that became very powerful because now people respond positively or negatively. And in the 1990s, there was this notion that you have to acquire a CRM, a customer base, where you can communicate to them, because broadcast now is like shooting anywhere, and you don't know if you're hitting the right audience. So now with that notion of CRM, with Facebook coming in, social networks coming in, you really can create your own fan page, and your entire audience would be there. But like I said, they are people. They are not just passive people. They're very proactive people that if they did not like the experience, they will write there. And it's not like negative. It's like it's themselves, citing their experience. So for big corporations, all the more, they are expected to know how to react.
All right. Okay. Let's take a break on this note, and we'll come back and talk to you about it, Anton, what big companies are doing. Also about the dangers involved in that. There's a certain amount of risk management that has to be done when big corporations do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are with Anton Diaz and Donald Lim, and we are talking about branding and marketing 2011. This is Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. Please stay with us. We'll come back and answer some questions from our audience this time. Welcome back to Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. We're talking to Anton Diaz and Donald Lim about branding and marketing in the year 2011. So, Anton, what's your take on branding and marketing for large corporations, like companies like IBM? How can they exploit it?
Yeah, the game really in moving forward is really building communities. Versus like in the past where it's more promotion based. I have this product now, I want to promote it in 3 months and then you change. That won't work in this new age because it's really a community kind of thing. You have to work with the community, first build it and then engage it. And the marketing becomes daily. Okay,
not just daily, it's
every single second. I mean, it's really regular, the engagement. It's like, you have a digital manifestation of the company, and how does it interact on an ongoing basis, and not anymore, hey, I have a product here, this is the only time I talk to you.
This is the best product in the world. So that's your take. Any examples that any one of you can cite today, a success story of a large corporation making their brand come alive using the current technology? Any example that you can cite?
I don't know. I won't even use corporation. I'd like to use a very practical case. MMDA tweet.
MMDA tweet. Okay.
MMDA Twitter account.
This is Fernando's MMDA, or
no? Just now. Not anymore. It's a very recent one. They just tweet the traffic condition. But now, because people can check every time. And when they're fixing EDSA, they tweet, "Do not pass EDSA." When this is flooded, I mean, it's just too practical, right? And if you look at the web, it shouldn't be selling. Even if it's Facebook, even if it's a fan page or website, I mean, you showcase your product, that's fine. But if it's too hardcore selling, people tend to shy away already. And that has always been my proposition when it comes to the internet, that it has to be transparent, it has to be genuine, and it has to be, you know, what they call customer utility. It has to be something that they can really use. And that's why I was saying, if you ask for a case, they also, Twitter is not really big here, but I think because of all of that happening, you can expect a lot of functionalities that would soon arise from out of that. And that's why, like MMDA, I'm no fan of them really, but here, for that simple effort, allowed everyone to go around traffic more efficiently. Big companies like the Nestes or the Cokes have been using fan pages. They're using it to communicate to their customers. I mean, they're doing very well. They're launching promos where they used to launch them offline in the supermarket. Now they're doing it online, making sure that there are advocates of people liking them, having a stronger affinity, and they tend to measure that when they do monthly
before
research.
They take the product to the market.
Yeah, you can test market it
like
there,
movies,
right?
I think nowadays movies get released online way before they come to the theaters.
Yes,
they create a buzz for it
yes,
already.
yes.
Any success stories from your side, Anton?
For me, it's really more of just wanted to share, like, when we created Mercato Central, you know, a weekend market. You know, in the past, like, for example, some of our idol markets like Salcedo and Legazpi, it took them, you know, a couple of years to get to where they are now. You know, even all the markets here. But with the online game, you know, we started last November. We're able to quickly, you know, start up, you know, recruit vendors, inform everybody that there's a market here. And then we launched just this February a midnight market, Friday night, Saturday night, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. And we're able to recruit vendors online. We were able to, you know, invite people through online also. So it became possible with, you know, this.
You don't do any event management yourself, no? You just give it away, or you participate in the managing the event also physically?
Yeah, sometimes.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. We have two questions from our live audience today. The first one says, does digital marketing put your business ahead of the pack, especially in areas of export? That means people who are exporting out of the country who don't have a recognized customer. They don't have a mass customer. They probably have one client in Botswana. Does digital marketing, will it help them, and how? Botswana, I don't think buys from us, no? US does,
Yeah, well, certainly, because online, you know, there's no barriers. It's like everybody is online, you know, whether you're in the US or in other countries. So it's actually very efficient to connect to people outside, and very helpful for people who are into export business as well and stuff, you know.
And I think the internet is just a great equalizer. If you have a very big factory or if you have a small store, in the end, if the people are abroad, the website becomes just the only gauge, right?
But if I'm a capiz maker, I make capiz lamps somewhere in Cebu or downtown. How do I reach my audience? How do I reach my potential customer?
There are actually a lot of ways.
There are ways to reach your customers? There are ways?
Well, like for example, for one, you could go to existing marketplaces. For example, the
online existing market.
So the biggest marketplace for handmade stuff is called Etsy.com. Etsy, ETSY.com. So that's where people who are interested on handmade stuff, you know, capiz, are already in that marketplace. So, you know, you could enter that marketplace and sell it there. You can also build your own marketplace by creating a website, your own store, and then take it from there. So.
And you don't have to be very techy.
You don't have to be really techy.
And that's why I'm always been an advocate. Go online, search, right? Look for places. There are message boards. There are marketplaces, online marketplace out there already. You can post your products. You can tell them this is what you're offering. Take a picture, put it out there. It's very simple right now.
To reach them eventually. Okay, now here's a question. I don't usually ask negative questions in this show because this show is based on the concept of appreciative inquiry. So we always ask what is possible and what is good, no? But here's my question. What are the risks involved in becoming so open? The world becoming so open and dynamic, you know? Is there a chance that a disgruntled employee, a disgruntled customer can come and mess up your whole business? Well, how do you manage that challenge?
There's actually a big dark side, what we call the dark side.
The shadow.
There's actually a big dark side of the internet out there. And, you know, you have to be able to, like, manage them or be able to address it. The biggest problem for some corporation or, you know, some entities is that, for example, if you were attacked by the dark side in Twitter, the thing is, you have to respond via Twitter. You cannot respond via, let's say, newspaper. Or
you cannot have a press conference.
Yeah, you cannot have a press conference. So, you know, it's important that you have, you know, presence. You have build a presence in all the social media space so that when you get attacked, you know, it was very easy to actually address them.
So you address it on the same ground using the same weapons. You don't go out of it and don't get in the lawyers and stuff like that. It won't work. Donald, your take on that?
Yeah, I think the dark side really is you have to, there's always the pros and cons of being too democratic, and internet is a democratic medium.
Yeah, deep democracy.
And it allows really people to just say their piece. And most of the brands, if you look at it now, they are awakened and they're more scared, especially the bigger ones. In fact, if you look at the smaller players,
I'm sure the bigger you get, the more sensitive you are. Because you're an easy target.
That's right. And if you look at the smaller ones, they're the ones who have created a very strong relationship. They know their customers by name. A small coffee shop would know their customer by name. And when they create the fan page, it was really that essence, a fan page. They are really fans of that product. And the bigger ones, they create a fan page for marketing, and now it's becoming too unwieldy, and they're very scared. Right? Because people just, okay, come and join our fan page, and we'll give you an iPad. We will raffle off. Right? And then when people start coming in, they start giving away, and it became very transactional. Right? And that's, okay, what's the next promo? You're paying people to become a fan, right? So that is why you have to do it the right way. In fact, if you want to be very strict with it, a fan page, when Zuckerberg created Facebook, and the page really a fan page, a fan creating a page for you, not really you creating your own fan page. Right? But now it has become different. So
okay, I have a question from the audience, and this is a long question. I hope I can read it well, given my poor eyesight. Branding and marketing via cyber, quote unquote, operates in a very dynamic environment. We already established that, no? Probably 5 years from now, you will be telling a different story. What do you see as a future scenario of branding and marketing? What do you see the future of what today is 10 years from now or 5 years from now? How does the world look like?
For me, my basic definition of internet marketing is really the right message, you know, putting it in the right audience, in the right medium or website, and the last one, which internet really offers, is the right time. Okay, the right message, the right audience, you know, the Y generation would there probably, you know, older generation would go to the internet. The right medium, maybe there's no Facebook, there's no, you know, Yahoo or whatever, but there will still be a medium or, you know, where do they hang out?
It might enhance itself. It might grow.
Or it might grow also. But the biggest changes, the future is the right time. Because right now, at this moment, 2012, we're talking about, you know, having the message at the right time, just in time. The future actually is more predictive. The game becomes, how can you predict, you know, before you think about buying a coat, you know, you already kind of know, you know, a probability that you'll be buying a coat. Now, there's this website about pregnancy, which is very easy to predict. You know, for example, I mean, for moms who are pregnant, if you're pregnant, during the 9 months, you're able to predict what are the different emotions that, you know, a mom would experience. You know? So you can, you know, parang plan your messages ahead. That will be the, you know, the kind of marketing that will happen.
Let me try,
you know,
no, let me try and see if I got what you're saying, you know, because you were using so many metaphors. So what you're saying is, for a business, in the future, timing will be more crucial, much more crucial than the story or the technology. Yeah, because they'll have to think ahead of the curve way much more than they're doing now, because already things have speeded up so much more. So you're saying 5 years from now, speed, not just speed, but accuracy and speed might become more important. Is that, given the fact that the technology might advance?
And the key word probably is predictiveness.
Predictiveness. So thinking ahead of the curve. Yeah.
Thinking ahead.
Donald, your take on this, and then we'll have to close this meeting. We're quite use up the time here.
No, I think marketing in the future would be always on. I think technology would really go into hyperspeed, where internet access would soon be in a mobile device. TV, radio, print would soon converge in one device.
Yeah, it's all integrated.
Yeah, all integrated, and you're seeing that it's harder and harder to market to your consumers. And that is why it is going to be back to basics. That for a brand to be successful, or even a small business to be successful, it is all about creating that personal relationship. And that has always been the fundamentals of marketing and business.
Like a shop somewhere in Italy which looks after the client one-on-one. All right, so thank you very much for sharing your wonderful insights. I'd just like to give you a minute each to talk about whatever you want to your audience, and after that I'll make my announcements for the next show. So is there anything you want to tell your audience? Is there anything I missed asking you?
Word,
right there, that one.
Please visit my website, ourawesomeplanet.com, for the food and travel secrets around the Philippines. And if you're here in Manila, every weekend we actually have an organic and food and organic market called Mercato Central in Bonifacio Global City every Saturday and Sunday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then we also have Midnight Mercato Friday night, Saturday night, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. We actually hang out there, so you can actually, if you have some questions or feel free to go and say hi.
Hi. Donald, 30 seconds for you.
Yeah, well, I'm really nothing. I'm part of Macan, so really I'm more on, if you are on in business, in social, it's always nice to really be giving back, be part of yourself. We've talked about self-actualization, we've talked about a lot of things, but digital is there for you to use. So I think anyone could just dive in there and really experience that.
Thank you very much for being on Expat Insights and sharing your wonderful insights. Thank you for watching Expat Insights. I'm your host Raju Mandhyan. Next week on Expat Insights, we have a gentleman called Dominic Leme, the founder of Verlani Foundation, and we have Mr. Mohan Fadke, who is the faculty member of AIM in India, and they'll be talking about success and failure. I'd also like to invite my audience, my watchers, to a book release of Pitbulls and Entrepreneurs on September 3 at fully booked Serendra 5 p.m. Come and enjoy this little book written by yours truly. Thank you, good night, and mabuhay po. Thank you for